Տարիների ընթացքում ձեռք եք բերում սեփականություն, կուտակում եք մեծ գումարներ, իսկ մտածել եք, թե ինչ է լինելու դրանց հետ ապագայում։ Լավագույն որակավորում ունեցող իրավաբան Մարիա Պրիմուշկոն իր բազմամյա հաջողակ փորձով կօգնի ձեզ ժառանգության փոխանցման, կտակ կազմելու եւ ձեր ունեցվածքն ապահով պահելու հարցում։ Estate planning, bankruptcy, personal injury եւ այլ իրավական հարցերով դիմեք MVP Law Group։ Ձեր ընտանիքի ապագան կախված է այսօրվա կայացրած որոշումից։ 818-788-7881։
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching MVP Law Group show and its host, Maria Primushko, attorney and founder of MVP Law Group. During our programs, we're going to discuss very important legal issues relevant to each and every one of you, irrespective of your age, net worth, financial situation, or your family situation. You will recognize yourself, your family members, or your other loved ones, your friends, in the scenarios that we're going to look through, discussing various issues and the ways to resolve it. We've already ran 2 shows with Horizon TV of MVP Law Group show, but we were talking in Russian. We were addressing those shows to our Russian-speaking viewers. However, we do not discriminate. That is why, of course, we're going to run. So we're gonna do both English version and Russian version, as I want to make sure that each and every one of you understands the issues and concerns, your rights and the ways to resolve those issues and concerns, and make sure that your family, your loved ones are protected. Specifically, we are going to talk about estate planning. There is huge misconception, misunderstanding, and pure lack of knowledge about estate planning. So what is estate planning? Basically, it is a set of rules, legal rules and regulations and tools created to make sure, for those ones who actually take advantage of knowing those rules and applying to their personal situation, to make sure that they protect their loved ones, they protect themselves, they protect their future. Specifically, when a person becomes incapacitated, disabled, or passes away. Basically, those are laws of inheritance. How do we inherit property? Or how do we assign someone to take care of our needs when we become disabled? Don't worry, I will not bother you with legalese, with definitions of legal terms, etc. We're going to discuss and look at all of these situations and rules and tools that we can apply through the prism of real-life situations. Of course, I cannot discuss with you my clients directly, providing their names and specific situations, but we will create this family who will experience various situations and concerns and real-life scenarios that life throws at you all often, and we'll discuss those issues during our programs. So, let's start. We have this regular family, Alex and Nina. They immigrated to the United States more than 30 years ago. They raised their family. They have 2 wonderful children, Michael and Lika. They have 2 houses. They've accumulated net worth in savings and brokerage accounts, and Alex has a business. Of course, as many of us, believe it or not, as 70% of American population do not have any estate plan whatsoever. I'm not sure what is going on. For my purposes, it almost looks like a conspiracy theory, because people do not know their rights. They do not know what's going to happen if they don't proactively create a plan designed specifically for their family. So what can happen if nothing gets created? And our heroes, Alex and Nina, unfortunately found out about it through their family friends. As we know, our communities are very large. We'll always like to gather, celebrate big life events and holidays. So Alex and Nina have these friends, lifetime friends, Greg and Alice. Greg and Alice, middle-aged couple, they have their all-adult son. So during one of these celebrations, Greg fell ill. So he suddenly collapsed at the table. I don't know if anything happened like that with your family and friends, but it does happen. It happened to one of my clients. So he collapsed. And of course, he was rushed to the hospital where they determined that he suffered a stroke. And although family and friends were happy that he did not pass away, our American medical system worked properly and he was saved. However, he became disabled. Believe me or not, most clients that I meet do not fear death. We understand death is imminent, but all of them fear facing disability, being immobile, not being able to take care of your own affairs, not being able to take care of yourself, and becoming a burden for the family. Remember, Greg and Alice did not have any plan. They didn't know about the specific system that American system has. So now now Greg is at home, immobile. He cannot walk, he cannot talk, and he needs extra care. Alice still works. She is a teacher. So who takes care of Greg? The family, had to hire a specific nurse, specific medical assistant who would come to their house every day to take care of Greg, of his everyday activities. He was miserable, but he couldn't even express himself being in this misery. But the question arises, who pays for this extra care? We live our lives and we don't think about possible long-term care issues. What are the ways to pay for these long-term care necessities and expenses? You can either purchase long-term care insurance before the event happens, of course, spend off your savings, or apply for Medi-Cal. And in order to apply for Medi-Cal, you cannot have more than a certain amount of money on your account, depending if you're single or married couple. So it's $3,000 on your account. Only then you can apply for Medi-Cal to pay for all those extra medical and everyday expenses, long-term care expenses. So Greg and Alice, they have a house and they've been saving all their lives for the nice retirement they hope to get one day. So they have pretty large bank account in their savings that they hope to spend traveling the world with their grandchildren, traveling back to their country, treating everyone. So they had fun and happy thoughts about their future. Unfortunately, it is very often that life throws those curveballs that we are not ready for. And my job as an attorney to make sure that you are ready for anything that life can throw at you. So what happens to Greg and Alice? They had to spend down all their retirement savings. Because Greg, sometimes when he was feeling okay, he was at home and somebody would come in and take care of him, but sometimes his condition would deteriorate and he had to be transported to the nursing facilities. Be aware that nursing facilities here, specifically here in California, cost for the good, semi-good quality nursing home around $7,000–12,000 per month. So their savings disappeared pretty quickly and they couldn't do anything about that. Of course, they were ready to spend this money just to make sure that Greg is feeling well. But I'm sure if they were given a chance to do something that could have been something that could avoid this expenditure, they would have agreed to it. When all of the savings were spent, finally, Alice was able to apply for Medi-Cal for Greg, and he started receiving medical subsidies, and Medi-Cal would pay for his nursing home care and care for him in home care services. But that didn't last long, and finally Greg passed away. So what happens now? thankfully, so their house was in joint title to joint tenancy. So both of them own the home. So now Alice doesn't have to go to probate court and ask for a petition to become an owner. She becomes 100% owner of that house. However, she didn't last long, and she was so she mourned the death of Greg for several years and then passed away herself. So what happens now? Now, because there was no plan, their son has to go to probate court and petition the court to transfer title of the family house from name of his deceased parents to his own name. Because if person who owns the home doesn't transfer title, him or herself, then only court, only probate judge has the right to make that transfer with his or her signature. That process is very expensive. During the probate process, you lose 25 to 35% of the total estate. And as we know, Greg and Alice didn't have much. But imagine if it was huge estate, like sometimes you hear that, that celebrities pass away, and when we hear all the talks about how many wives or children they had and how huge the inheritance was, we understand that there was no trust, no other planning documents created, and that we're going through probate process. 25 to 35% of total estate is spent to attorney's fees, recorders, CPAs, appraisals, you name it. But not only their son have to go through that process, but also he found out that Medi-Cal, who spent money and paid for services provided to his father, asserted a lien. So now they have a right of reimbursement for everything they spent on care for Greg. They want it back from the child. They didn't ask it from Alice, because a spouse has the right to reside on a property, and Medi-Cal wouldn't touch it up to their time of death of surviving spouse. So now, not only Greg and Alice's son receives much reduced inheritance of price of the home, but now he has to sell the house and pay back Medi-Cal for their services. And as you know, they charge a lot of money for their services. So that is, I just described the death probate that their son has to go through. But also, while Greg was disabled, you understand that he couldn't write his own check. He couldn't take care of his own affairs. He couldn't go to the bank. He couldn't take care of his business. He couldn't do anything for himself that belonged to him personally. So at that time, Alice had to go to probate court, that is called living probate, and petition the court to become a conservator, to step into his shoes and make sure that his affairs are in order, checks are paid, bills are paid, and business is running, or sell the business, or whatever she needs to do in order to upkeep his affairs. So that's a very expensive process, because Greg actually had to be willed into court for a judge to strip him of his rights, and give it back to Alice. That is very sad picture to imagine and to experience while in court. I feel very bad for people when I represent them, but there's nothing you could do. At that point, there is nothing you can do. But let's see. So now our family, Alex and Nina, watched all of this drama unfolding with their dear friends Greg and Alice, and they were astonished of what's going on and how they didn't know about all these possibilities and all these curveballs that can be thrown at them, and they understood that something has to be done, and we'll find out about it right after the commercial.
Տարիների ընթացքում ձեռք եք բերում սեփականություն, կուտակում եք մեծ գումարներ, իսկ մտածել եք, թե ինչ է լինելու դրանց հետ ապագայում։ Լավագույն որակավորում ունեցող իրավաբան Մարիա Պրիմուշկոն իր բազմամյա հաջողակ փորձով կօգնի ձեզ ժառանգության փոխանցման, կտակ կազմելու եւ ձեր ունեցվածքն ապահով պահելու հարցում։ Estate planning, bankruptcy, personal injury եւ այլ իրավական հարցերով դիմեք MVP Law Group։ Ձեր ընտանիքի ապագան կախված է այսօրվա կայացրած որոշումից։ 818 788 7881
So, Alex and Nina came to my office and they told me all this story about Greg and Alice and asked me, Maria, please, we don't want to go through the same process our friends went through. What can you do for us? And luckily, there is this, remember we spoke about estate planning, rules and tools to help people to achieve peace of mind about their future and future of their families. And that is called, one of the many tools that we're going to discuss in our future programs, that is called revocable living trust. So this is the sample that we create for our clients. So what Alex and Nina can do differently? First of all, in this wonderful document, we create this creature. It's basically an agreement between Alex and Nina as people and Alex and Nina as trustees of this trust, managers of their life, managers of their affairs. So they appoint themselves to supervise everything in the interest of themselves for now, and of course in the interest of future beneficiaries. So they can decide who, when, on what terms will inherit property and who will take care of business while if they become incapacitated. So now they know, they have peace of mind knowing that if something happens to them, sickness, illness, disability, car accident, stroke, you name it, dementia, Alzheimer, we are not safe. They know that they appointed somebody that they can trust. For example, for Alex and Nina, Nina is stay-at-home mom, so she's a housewife. She doesn't know much about business and managing properties. So Alex knows about it. That's why he named his older son to become a successor trustee, to become a power of attorney for his financial and legal matters. And he just understands that his family, should something happen, will not have to go to probate court, will not have to pay unnecessary expenses. Just filing for conservatorship called with attorney costs $5,000 plus, depending on circumstances. Also, so they will know who will take care of Nina, God forbid something happens. Nina appointed Alex because she trusts him with everything. Alex is the first person to take care of her, and next in line is her son and daughter. Also, this document consists of living trust, power of will, power of attorney, healthcare directive, HIPAA form, and all other related documents necessary to administer your life, administer your family while you're living, and when something happens to you, you become disabled or you pass away. Everything is in here. So what they've decided to do is that Alex will become their successor trustee, and their children will receive property 50-50. But bottom line, we'll talk more in detail about various planning techniques that can be within this trust document. There are myriad of them, not myriad, but many, depending on your family situation. When people come to my office and talk to me, I don't ask them right away how many houses you have or what is your account, because first I need to find out about your family. Because families' scenarios are so different. Just look around your surroundings. It could be blended family, people coming from different marriages. There could be children from prior relationship. There could be mothers of parents that you want to make sure you take care of even if you pass away. There could be stepchildren, there could be adopted children, there could be single parents, there could be grandparents living with the grandchildren. So no matter what your situation is, specific plan designed for your particular family has to be created proactively. So you now go to sleep, go on your pillow, and you have peace of mind. God forbid something happens, life happens. You know that you've done everything to make sure that your family is protected, that they will not have to run around not knowing what to do, who to call, what paperwork to file. All they have to do is open this book, read it through, and follow your directions. You already designed the plan for your family. Because if you've noticed with the example of Greg and Alice, if you don't create the plan for you, there is another plan that government has created for you, and that's not pretty plan. That is very messy plan. Because, for example, if you open the probate proceedings after the death of the family member, anybody can step in, raise their hand, and say, hey, this person promised me a certain amount. For example, that caregiver who was looking after Greg can come to court and say, hey, Greg promised me $50,000, and now you have to enter into evidentiary hearing and litigation, potential litigation, spend money, time, nerves on something that could have been totally avoided. Because in these documents, you can not only say who will inherit the property, but you can say who will not. You can say, hey, my estranged son, who I haven't seen for 25 years, who hasn't treated me well, will not get anything. Or vice versa, my neighbor who helped me so much will get something. So it is totally up to you. You're the designer of your plan. You're the designer of your future and future for your family. Basically, what I want you to understand that we spoke about why people create living trust to avoid, first, living probate. That's the proceedings in case you become disabled or incapacitated because of the mental or physical incapacity. Someone that you appoint, someone that you trust, will step in and take care of your affairs. That is specifically important when you have business, because as we know, especially if there is a business partner, special documents have to be signed. You have to review your operating agreement. You have to review your bylaws to make sure that everything is spelled out, what happens in case of your incapacity or death. Then we cement it with a living will or with a living trust, making sure that your partner doesn't misbehave and treats your family well should something go wrong. Also, we discussed death probate. What are the consequences? It is very expensive. 25 to 35% goes to all kinds of expenses, and it takes almost 2 years here in Los Angeles County specifically to administer death probate. So if you don't want your family struggle, if you don't want your family to incur unnecessary expenses, it is very easy to accomplish. Look at your situation right now. As you're sitting now on your sofa, on your chair, at the dining table, ask yourself, as things stand now, is your family prepared and ready for any of life events? We don't want to think about it, yet we think about it every day. I'm sure I know it because all my clients tell me that they've been thinking about creating something for years, and finally they made that leap. So I encourage you to make that leap and talk to somebody that you trust. Ask questions. You can ask questions directly to me, MVP Law Group. Phone number is here. For the viewers, for the Horizon TV audience, You just call the office and you say hashtag Horizon TV, that's a code, and you will receive half an hour free consultation with any questions, no strings attached. I just want as many of you to receive information about proper and proactive estate planning. And as you can see, the plans that we create are pretty large, and it's not the quantity of pages we're talking about, it's quality. What I'm trying to do is to address every possible specific situation that can occur in your family. Also, we do, during the process, if you own real estate, you will sign, you will sign deeds. I can show you, it's actually one of my clients. You will sign deeds, and I will file them myself with the county, transferring title from your name to the name of the trust. Because many times I see that people go somewhere trying to save, somewhere to paralegals, CPAs, and other agencies, even sometimes attorneys, create living trusts, and they do a very poor job. Or they create a trust that looks fine, but it hasn't been funded. The very important process of the design and planning is funding. When trust is created, you have to transfer everything that you own into the name of the trust. Otherwise, it means something. For example, right now, actually this Thursday, I'm having a hearing at probate court. When parents create a trust, it's good, it's well written, attorney created it, but it's called living trust because it lives with you. Along with you have a new child, it has to be reflected in the trust. You have death in the family, you have to be reflected in the trust. You purchase a new home, it has to go in the trust, has to be funded in the trust. So with this particular family, we're going to court because they have transferred title to their house into the name of the trust, but forgot to transfer large account numbers with the bank, checking and saving accounts that, and there was significant amount of money on them. So they just simply forgot to transfer from their name to the name of the trust. Now we're going to judge and saying, hey, judge, it's our deceased parents, they actually meant these accounts to be in the trust. They just overlooked it. So there are so many situations, there's so many scenarios that have to be looked after for. So make sure you seek proper guidance. Call MVP Law Group. I'll be happy to assist and help you. Don't forget hashtag Horizon TV. I'll see you in the future programs.
Տարիների ընթացքում ձեռք եք բերում սեփականություն, կուտակում եք մեծ գումարներ, իսկ մտածել եք, թե ինչ է լինելու դրանց հետ ապագայում։ Լավագույն որակավորում ունեցող իրավաբան Մարիա Պրիմուշկոն իր բազմամյա հաջողակ փորձով կօգնի ձեզ ժառանգության փոխանցման, կտակ կազմելու եւ ձեր ունեցվածքն ապահով պահելու հարցում։ Estate planning, bankruptcy, personal injury եւ այլ իրավական հարցերով դիմեք MVP Law Group։ Ձեր ընտանիքի ապագան կախված է այսօրվա կայացրած որոշումից։ 818 788 7881